you how to model the component parts for your Budvaz projects, maybe things like your secondary function. Now, if it's a very simple shape, it's just a case of creating a sketch and extruding it. Okay. If, however, you've got a component that maybe you've formed using the strip heater, this is the approach I'd like you to use. So, as usual, File, New Part, OK, and we're going to do an extruded boss base, and then think about which way your thing would be positioned. So I'm going to do on the right work plane, and I'm going to do a kind of simple design. Okay, so this might be a secondary function, maybe that screws to the underside of the shelf. Okay, and then it goes straight up and down. So I've got simple lines there. And the corner, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a sketch fillet tool. And you just click on the corner there and it puts the fillet in. Now that's a 10mm fillet, that's massive. Okay, so maybe something like 3mm would do. Okay. Make sure you use your smart dimension tool, so maybe you measure your model. So if I do it from that line, so that's the first click, and then I go on to this other line, pull down, and let's say, so that's the width of the shelf, that's 70. And I want to do the length of this. Okay, so I'll click on that line, and then click and drag from this one, and I can set this to, just make that 80. Okay. Now, for a simple extrusion, you can actually use that line. You don't have to put a thickness in for it. Okay, SolidWorks has a kind of neat way of doing things. If I exit sketch that, now what is automatically worked out is that we're using a thin feature. Okay, so we've done a single line here. Okay, at the moment it's saying that it's 10mm thick. Now, our plastic's not that thick. You'd never be able to bend that in the workshop. So our plastic is, let's just say 3mm. Click that, and that's more realistic for what we have for our plastic. And you can see what it's done is it's added the material on to the outer edge of that. Okay. If you wanted to go in a different direction, you just click the little arrow. Okay, so let's go on that side. Let's go on the other side. If you wanted it mid-plane, okay, you click on that. If you want it in two directions, it would take the thickness and add it on either side of the line. Okay, so I'm just going to use one direction, and I'll put it on the inside of the line. Okay, so all the sizes still work. It's still 80. It's still 70. And I'm not quite done, okay, because this isn't thick enough. This is the distance. Okay, so this is how big your piece is. Okay, so if I say maybe it's 60, okay, and I click OK. And there's my basic piece of plastic, and it appears bent. Okay. Now that little curve that's on the inside there, yeah, I'm not happy with how that looks. Okay, because plastic never bends like that. Okay, so if you find that that's not got that curve there, what you can do is you can go back in, you can edit the sketch. So that radius that I had there, if I increase that to 6, just hit enter and exit sketch, you can see that's more realistic for what we actually have. Okay, and we bend the plastic, you get a little radius like that. Now that should be you done. Okay, there's things you can do to this. So if you form this, likelihood is that you've maybe rounded your corners. We can do that. So we use the fillet tool. I can fillet the corners. So just zoom in, click on the corners. Round them off. If I'm not happy with that radius, I can change it in the dialog box here. So maybe it's only a 5mm radius. We look at that. make sure you've got full preview on when you do this on the left hand side. Partial preview will only give you one of them. No preview obviously doesn't show you anything. So I always have partial preview on. Yeah, happy with that. Click OK. If you've got holes that you need to drill for attaching it, okay, you need to go in to do that via extruded cut. So remember, you can view onto surfaces. Okay, so you can choose your top view here, which would be the one. Okay, and we'll put in a couple of holes here, and I'll just make sure they're level with each other. And then I'm going to put one in the middle. So I've got a control point. Come down, put one in the middle. Now these are all different sizes, different positions. I can go back in and use Smart Dimension to constrain these. So the distance from there to the center. We'll use the actual size. We'll do the same on this one. That's in the middle. I don't need to move that left or right. These ones I do need to constrain it this way. Let's just say it's in 12. And this one, it's in 12 as well. Okay, now the massive holes. Maybe it's something like a 3mm hole. Each of these. Pretty much done. Come out of Smart Dimension, press Control 7 on your keyboard just to see what's happening. Exit the sketch, and that's going all the way through. Yeah, so we're doing blind. Yeah, it's a 10mm difference. You can do through all. Yeah, and just click OK. You might have countersunk these screws. We'll just show you how to do that. Use the chamfer. So below fillet, there's a wee arrow. Click on the chamfer, and then click on the hole. You can do all holes at once. That's a massive chamfer. Okay, just try one. Two would be okay. And okay that. And there's your holes chamfered. Okay, so model your components that you need for secondary function, for your bracket, and any other bits and pieces that you need. Just using that technique, creating a sketch, figuring out which work plane it's on, create the sketch, and then extrude it. Okay, use that thin feature for sheet material. It's a really easy one to do. You don't need to worry about drawing the whole profile and extruding it across. When you're happy with it, just save it.